Welcome to Chris Cook for you too. It's at times like these that we really have to get creative. We're stuck in the house. We probably got a long ways to go with preparing meals. So you just want to take what you have and make what you can. So today I'm going to be making a pasta dish. And I'm going to use penne pasta for it. So let's get started with the ingredients that you're going to need. You're going to need oregano, thyme, salt. It should be down there somewhere. There it is. And some granulated garlic. That's going to be your seasonings along with some vegetables to put in there. I'm using penne pasta. Now with your pastas, if you cook them right, pretty much all your pastas are going to taste the same. The difference is going to be in your noodles. You're going to taste the difference in the flavor from the noodles to the pasta, but you probably won't taste the difference from pasta to pasta, if that makes sense. It's just gonna, if you cook it right, it's pretty much going to taste the same. Some may be light, some may be a little bit thicker in texture, but you're pretty much going to get the same flavor out of it. I'm going to use some ground beef, and I'm going to use some sausage. Now, normally the sausage that I would like to use is kielbasa, but the stores are limited in what they have. So these are lumberjacks, and I bought them at Walmart. So I'm just going to cut up a couple of them, and they're frozen right now, but I'm going to cut up a couple of them, and I'm going to put them in with the ground beef to make this pasta dish. I had some leftover mushrooms. Mushrooms are optional. You don't have to use them, but I had some in my refrigerator, so I'm going to throw that in the dish along with some cut up green pepper and onions. And if you want to make your homemade sauce, you can, but I always use prego. Just going to add a couple of, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of sugar to this because I find it has a better taste when you add sugar to it. But if you want to make your own pasta sauce or you want to make your own sauce, just go ahead and make your own sauce. I'm going to use something that's convenient for me. So I'm going to go away. I'm going to get my pasta all cooked up according to my package instructions. So you do the same thing. Just use your package instructions for cooking that. And I'm going to get this all cut up, and I'll meet you at the stove. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to grind up my ground beef. I got one change that I'm going to make. Instead of me cooking the pasta by boiling it in water and then, putting it into the ingredients, I'm going to go ahead and just cook the pasta in with the rest of the ingredients. So what I'm going to do, in other words, I'm not going to boil it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all chopped up and grind up. I'm going to let it cook for maybe about a minute, and then I'm going to add in my sausages, which I have sitting over here on the side, and I've already sliced them up. And then I'm going to drain the liquids from the sausage and the ground beef. Now what I want to do right here is I want my ground beef, I want the flavors from the ground beef to be mixed, the juices from the ground beef to be mixed with the juices from the sausage. And that way I'm going to get more flavor, more diverse flavor. So that's why I'm going to mix these two together when I get ready to cook them. Then I'm going to take some of the juices from the ground beef and the sausage once it's been prepared, and I'm going to cook my vegetables with that. And that's the way you should be doing it whenever you're making any type of dish that's along this style. You don't need to get some leftover oils, cooking grease that you have in order to cook that. Just go ahead and cook it in your ground beef, because you're going to get, depending on what ground beef you use, I really think I'm using an 80-20, which would be 80% lean and 20% fat, but I'm not actually sure. Could be a 70-30, 80-20, 90-10. However it works out to be, adds up and be 100%. That's how much oil you're going to get from it. So if you're using an 80-20, you're going to have 80% lean, and the rest is going to be fat. So that means you're going to get about 20% of the ground beef is going to be fat, and that's where you get your shrinkage from. So remember that when you're buying your ground beef. If you want a leaner ground beef, you're going to pay a little bit more for it. Then you want to cut down the fat from the ground beef as much as you possibly can. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna mix the ground beef. Once the ground beef turns in color like this, see how it's turning? Then I'm gonna mix it with my sausage so I can pick up the oils that come from the sausage and the ground beef. Is going to be a mixture of whatever seasonings they've already put in my sausage. So that's just gonna make my dish a little bit better. And then I'm gonna bring you back. I'm gonna show it to you before I drain it. Then I'm going to bring you back. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons, maybe 3, of my oil. And that's how I'm going to saute my onions, my green peppers, and my mushrooms. Which means that all of this will be working together when it comes to flavor. Because the same flavor that's going to be seasoning the ground beef, it will be also the same flavorings that's going to be seasoning my vegetables, and it's going to work out to do my pasta dish. So I'll bring you back when I get ready to add the sausage, and then we'll go from there. Be right back. Okay, now you see my ground beef there's a little bit of pink in it, but it's partially cooked. And as you can see all of the oils that I'm picking up. Okay, those oils have good flavor in it when it comes to sauteing up your vegetables when you're cooking a dish that requires you to put vegetables in it. So don't throw it out. You can use that. So it's at this point, even with that oil in it, that I'm going to go ahead and add my sausage to this. Because what I want to do now is to mix the oils that's going to come from the sausage and the oils that's going to come from the ground beef. I want it to be combined in flavor, and I'm going to use that to saute up my vegetables. Now, if you just want to cook this with one meat, you can, but I mean, if you add the sausage to it, I mean, it just makes a little bit more of a unique, I'll put it that way, unique type meal for your families. So I'm going to go ahead, and then when I drain this off, I'll bring it back, and I'm going to use this in order to saute up my vegetables before I get ready to add everything together. And I have not I have not mixed in my seasonings yet. I'm gonna wait and do that once I add in my vegetables. Then I'll add the seasonings to that and bring everything back. Be right back. Okay, now I'm back, and as you can see, I got a little bit of the ground beef in. All I did was just took the ground beef out, and I just went ahead and I drained it down into a colander so I could go ahead and use the same pot. You don't need to be doing all of that washing. This is my leftover oils that I had from the ground beef. Now, I had more than this, which lets me know I was using probably a 70-30 type ground beef. So I'm going to use about 3 tablespoons of this oil, and it smells like sausage and ground beef. And then I'm going to go ahead and saute up my green peppers, my onions, and my mushrooms. Now, you know, I don't believe in throwing out anything, and that's just one way that you can go ahead and use your leftover oils without having using anything different, and without having to, normally you have leftover chicken grease, so you don't have to add that chickeny flavor, because you're going to get enough flavor just from this alone. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to let this cook for about 5 minutes. Then after the 5 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and add my mushrooms in, and I'm going to add my seasonings. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of them now, and I'll just add the rest when I add in my mushrooms. Now, I had a lot of onion. I had a small onion, but I still had a lot of onion and green pepper. So I think I'm going to add about 2 more tablespoons of this oil that comes from here, and there's nothing wrong with it. So use it. Now, I'm not saying save it. I'm saying once you use it for this, you can go ahead and throw it out. I'm not saying save it, because I've never saved it before. So I'm saying, but for a dish like this, you can go ahead and use it. Okay, so I have my onions and my green peppers in here, and I'm going to saute them just until they get limp. I don't want them to caramelize. I just want them to get limp. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my mushrooms to that. And then I'll bring you back, and the rest of my seasonings, and I'll bring you back. Okay, now I've taken out my mushrooms and my onions and green peppers, and this is all the way that you saute it down. See, I didn't caramelize it. I just sauteed it down a little bit. And now you want to go ahead and add in your pasta. So the way I'm going to do your pasta and your sauce. So the way I'm going to do this is I have 4 cups of water. Now the pasta requires 11 minutes worth of cooking for this pasta to be done. So here's the way you would do it. You would figure that out if you're going to do it like I'm doing it, which is adding my pasta into my sausage and my ground beef. Because I have the sausage and the ground beef in here, I'm going to add a little bit more cooking time. So instead of giving this 11 minutes to cook, I'm going to give it 15 minutes to cook. That means that my whole dish should be fully done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add in, first I'm going to turn my stove back on because I turned it off. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add in my prego sauce. So it's at this point, if you're making your sauce, that you would go ahead and add it in. I'm going to add a little water to that because y'all know me. I want everything that I got coming. Now that's 4 cups of water, and I'm going to add 4 cups of water to the dish anyway. So stir my container up a little bit to get all that goodness out of there. And the rest of my, this was about a cup I added in there, and then the rest is in here, which I'm going to add. I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of sugar. Give that a little bit of a stir. That's because, well, what I want is I want flavor going through everything that I'm cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of my water. So that's 4 cups of water. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and add my vegetables back in, which was my sauteed up onions, green peppers, and mushrooms. And now I'm using penne pasta. You can use any kind of pasta you want to use because the flavors will not change. If you cook it properly, the flavor will not change from pasta to pasta, but it will change from pasta to noodles. So it's at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add in that. I'm going to give it a stir. Now you don't have to cook it this way. You can go ahead and boil your noodles if that's what you choose to do, but you don't have to do that. I'm going to add 1 more cup of water to this. I'm just going to add 1. And why am I doing that? Because see, this looks thick. See, my sauce looks thick. And I want it to be thick, but I want it to be thick from being mixed in all of this. Like my pasta has a little bit of starch on it. So what I want is for it to be thick with the starch of the pasta. So I don't want it to be thick now, because if it's thick now, it's going to burn. So that's what I don't want. So I added like 1 more cup of water to that. Now that's all I need. Now I'm going to allow this to simmer for 15 minutes. At the end of 15 minutes, I'm going to bring you back and show you what it looks like. Meal in a pot. This is the best thing for right now, because not only will your family have enough for dinner, they'll probably have enough for lunch tomorrow, or if they believe in leftovers, they'll have enough for it. Remember, now we got to think smarter. We're not working harder. We want to think our way through this, because we got a long time to be in the house. We got a lot of mouths probably to feed. Even if you're only feeding one, you don't want to be cooking every night. The way to do it is these 1-pot meals. They'll get you through. So I'll bring you back once this is done. Okay, now we're back. Cut my stove off, and I think that the dish is done. And I did taste it. And man, is it good. And the best, and it did not stick. Here, you can hear my spoon. Shouldn't be scraping the bottom, because this is a Teflon finished pot or a non-stick. So you're supposed to use wood with it. So, but anyway, here, I want to show you something though. I want to show you, remember when it was watery in the beginning, and I told you, I said, I don't want it watery now. I don't want it thick now. So I made it real watery. But look, see how that sauce came right back? That's because a mixture of the flour in the pasta, along with the cook down of the actual liquids in the dish, got it back to that. But look at it. And this is the way you want it. You want your sauce to be just as thick as my sauce. See? See how thick it is? You can see it coming through that spoon. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and dish up a plate, because this is what we have. And I thought that we were going to have enough for tomorrow. I don't think so. I think that they're going to kill all of this tonight. Okay. This is a very good dish, especially now, because we're trying to save as much as we can and cook what we have in our cabinets. Put the top back on it. And I'm going to sprinkle this little bit of cheese down on this. Alrighty. There you have it. And we made some garlic toast. Clean my plate up a little bit. There you have it. Chris is making penne pasta with sausage and ground beef. Now, I think that if you try that, your family is truly going to enjoy it. Want you to check out one of my shirts. I'm wearing it today. Remember, we're a team. It's on my website. Need you to go over and check them out. And that's Chris Cook For You Too. Of course, it's Southern cooking at its best. And this one is Let's Get Started. Okay, that's what I have for you today. Want you to always stay safe. And as always, thank you for watching Chris Cook For You Too. Bye.